Welcome to the Corval Group Department of Transportation and Motor Fleet Program Training Module. The purpose of this training is to provide employees with the information necessary to operate a vehicle safely and understand their responsibilities when operating under the Department of Transportation and commercial motor vehicle requirements. The objectives of this training module are as follows: terms and definitions relating to DOT regulations, facts and highway statistics, DOT and CMV regulations, safe work practices and DOT company policies, where and how to utilize flowcharts, and inter- and intra-state potential scenarios. You'll hear the following terms throughout the training module: interstate, intrastate, logbook or electronic log, gross vehicle weight rating or GVWR, gross combination weight rating, GCWR, medical card, and commercial motor vehicle, or CMV. Interstate commerce. Either the vehicle, its passengers, or cargo must cross a state boundary, or there must be the intent to cross a state boundary to be considered an interstate carrier. Intrastate commerce. The vehicle, its passengers, or cargo is all kept within the state of origin and has no intent of crossing state boundaries. Commercial motor vehicle. Any self-propelled or towed vehicle used on public highways in interstate commerce to transport passengers or property when the vehicle 1. has a gross vehicle weight rating or gross combination weight rating, or gross vehicle weight or gross combination weight of more than 10,000 pounds, whichever is greater. Or number 2, is used in transporting material found by the Secretary of Transportation to be hazardous and in large enough quantities to require placarding. There may be other criteria that determines a vehicle as a commercial motor vehicle, but these are the areas Corval Group is concerned with. Keep in mind that this is based on what the vehicle could carry. Logbook, a book that allows a commercial motor vehicle driver to track their hours of service. Vehicle inspections should be performed first and then start filling out the logbook. Corval Group provides a logbook and vehicle inspection book, which are one and the same. The top half of the page is the daily log, and the bottom half of the page is the daily vehicle inspection. The logbook shall accurately account for the employee's locations, times at those locations, duration spent at those locations, miles driven, driving and not driving hours, resting time, and off-duty time. This is the bottom half of the page containing the inspection requirements. Following this routine inspection guide ensures the vehicle has been thoroughly inspected prior to operating. This is also used to verify routine and scheduled maintenance is up to date. Report your findings to your supervisor. For your safety, Corval wants your vehicle to always meet the manufacturer's specifications. Gross vehicle weight rating. The value specified by the manufacturer as the loaded weight of a single motor vehicle. You can usually find this in the door jamb, in the cab, or under the hood. Gross combination weight rating. The greater of 1, a value specified by the manufacturer of the power unit, if such value is displayed on the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard Certification label required by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Or 2, the sum of the gross vehicle weight rating, or the gross vehicle weights of the power unit and the towed unit, or any combination thereof that produces the highest value. The exception? The GCWR of the power unit will not be used to define a commercial motor vehicle when the power unit is not towing another vehicle. Medical examiner certificate, or medical card. A card provided to a commercial motor vehicle driver upon completion of a medical examination to prove they are physically qualified to drive a commercial motor vehicle. This card must be carried by the operator and made available upon state or federal request. For example, by state patrol or at a weigh station. This medical exam must be repeated every 2 years. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, the average annual frequency of fatalities due to motor vehicle accidents is 10.2 deaths per 100,000 people. By comparison, the construction industry has an average of 3.3 deaths per 100,000 workers. Simply put, those of us who drive for a living are at far greater risk than those involved in the construction industry. All employees and subcontractors are empowered, authorized, and obligated by the owners, president, and leadership of CorVal Group to stop work at any time for any unsafe condition. All employees and subcontractors are expected to stop working until the hazard or risk has been resolved. The stop work authority can be difficult for employees to embrace because of the fear of losing their job. Be assured that no employee will ever be penalized for using stop work authority. The states of Minnesota with 6.6 deaths per 100,000, Wisconsin with 8.8 deaths per 100,000, and North Dakota with 18.3 deaths per 100,000 come together for an average of 11.23 deaths per 100,000 each year. These numbers take into account all drivers, not just CMV drivers. When on the road, a CMV driver could impact or be impacted by a civilian driver. Distracted driving and impaired driving account for nearly 45% of all fatal car accidents each year. Approximately 10% are by distracted drivers. Some examples of distracted driving are operating electronic devices, engaged in phone conversations, eating, and excessive radio use or volume. It's important to understand that impaired driving is not limited to substance abuse, legal or illegal, and alcohol consumption. Being overly tired can replicate high blood alcohol levels. Studies have shown that people who have been awake for 18 hours exhibit behaviors similar to someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.5%. Persons that have been awake for 24 hours exhibit behaviors similar to someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.10, legally drunk in America. An organization with the DOT, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or FMCSA, is responsible for regulating workers that operate CMVs. The following are some of the regulations CorVal Group is frequently involved with: medical evaluation, drug and alcohol testing requirements, gross vehicle weight ratings and/or gross combination weight ratings, driver's logbook, and vehicle inspection requirements. The DOT requires that individuals who have a commercial driver's license, or CDL, be enrolled in the DOT drug and alcohol testing program. CorVal Group's policy requires employees who operate vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating or gross combination weight rating of more than 26,000 pounds be part of the DOT drug and alcohol testing program. Testing is conducted pre-employment, at random, under reasonable suspicion, upon returning to duty, and post-accident. Operation of a vehicle under 26,000 GVWR or GCWR does not require enrollment in the DOT drug and alcohol testing program. Gross vehicle weight rating applies to the vehicle. It does not include the weight of what it may be towing. When towing is involved, the gross combination weight rating is to be used. Combine the GVWR of the trailer and the truck for a combined total GVWR. This calculation is based on the GVWR placards. If this amount exceeds 26,000 pounds, call your regional tool and equipment center prior to operating. The Department of Transportation, weigh stations, and state troopers will review the GVWR placards for a vehicle total or combined vehicle and trailer total. Whether the truck is carrying a load is irrelevant. The determination of meeting compliance measures is based on what you can potentially haul, not what you're hauling. If the GVWR, GCWR exceeds 10,000 pounds, then the vehicle and driver must adhere to the following: U.S. DOT labeling, driver qualifications, hours of service logbook, and inspection and maintenance records. An operator of a CMV carrying more than 26,000 pounds, intrastate or interstate, or when carrying more than 10,000 pounds and crossing state lines, interstate, is required to maintain an hours of service logbook. This logbook is maintained to be certain that a driver does not exceed the DOT-regulated driving limits. The limits are as follows: 11-hour rule and 14-hour rule. The 11-hour rule states, a driver is not allowed to operate their vehicle more than 11 hours after a minimum of 10 consecutive hours off duty. This means that after having 10 consecutive hours off and starting a shift at 6 a.m., that a worker must not operate the vehicle past 5:30 p.m. This includes a mandatory 30-minute break after 8 hours of continuous driving. The 14-hour rule states, a driver is not allowed to operate their vehicle 14 hours after their shift began. This rule does not allow a person to operate their vehicle after the 11-hour rule has already come due. For example, if you begin your shift at 6 a.m. and drove your vehicle for 7 hours, took a 30-minute break, and drove your vehicle for 3 more hours, and needed to do paperwork for 3 hours, the driver could still operate their vehicle for 1 more hour before hitting the 14-hour rule requirement. And this still ensures a worker does not exceed the base 11-hour requirement. To simplify, when operating a commercial motor vehicle, you cannot have a shift that is more than 14 hours, and you cannot drive more than 11 hours in that 14-hour shift. Also, both the 11-hour and 14-hour rule require a minimum of 10 hours off-duty between shifts. Employers are required to maintain vehicles in safe working order. Employers are required to keep records on all vehicles they own, and they must address the following: 1. Identification number on the vehicle. 2. Make and model, serial number, year and tire size. 3. Due dates for up and coming maintenance. And 4. Inspection records for repairs and maintenance. These records are to be maintained for 1 year and 6 months after the vehicle has left the control of the employer. When operating under DOT or commercial motor vehicle, it is mandatory to conduct a thorough pre-trip inspection. Start with a 360-degree inspection of the outside of the vehicle and trailer, assessing overall condition of bumper integrity, glass, mirrors, lights, wiper blades, DOT inspection stickers and license plates are legible, tire pressure including spare, look under the vehicle for leaks, then open the hood and examine fluid levels such as engine oil, transmission, power steering, and wiper fluid. Enter the cab and start the engine listening for unusual noises. Test the brakes, horn, windshield wipers, fan, and seat belt. Look for warning lights and verify the gauges are working. If possible, have someone outside of the vehicle to verify that all front and rear lights and signal lights are functioning properly. It's a good practice to have a first aid kit, fire extinguisher, and a working flashlight. If you perform an inspection and find a deficiency that impacts the safety of the vehicle must be repaired prior to operating. Use your stop work authority. Report faulty or damaged vehicles immediately to your regional tool and equipment center to schedule repairs, exchange vehicle, or have vehicle towed. Never operate a vehicle when a safety feature has been compromised. CorVal Group developed flowcharts to help workers identify specific state and federal DOT requirements when operating a company vehicle. The charts guide you through what vehicle it applies to, model and GVWR, if it's for interstate or intrastate with pictogram, minimum operating age, trailer towing requirements, if and what logs are to be kept, DOT medical cards, DOT vehicle stickers, transporting hazardous materials, and inspections. Pictured is an interstate flow chart outlining the steps necessary when operating a 3/4 ton pickup or 1-ton van with a GVWR of 10,000 pounds or less. These are the requirements that must be followed when driving a 3/4 ton pickup or a 1-ton van across state lines. This flowchart is in the cab of all 3/4 ton pickups and 1-ton vans. If your vehicle does not have the flowchart or inspection book, contact your supervisor or the tool and equipment center. Here is the interstate flowchart outlining the steps necessary when operating a vehicle with a GVWR of 10,001 pounds to 26,000 pounds, meaning your vehicle is capable of carrying more than 10,000 pounds and less than 26,000 pounds. Read the GVWR on your vehicle and your trailer so you fully understand the rating requirements. Here's the interstate flowchart outlining the steps necessary when operating a vehicle with a GVWR of 26,000 pounds. A CDL is required when operating over 26,001 pounds and must be authorized by the Tool and Equipment Center manager prior to operating a vehicle under these restrictions. Your vehicle's GVWR and state in which it is located will dictate what flow charts are assigned to it. No matter what state you're based in, an intrastate and interstate flow chart will be in the vehicle for review. When staying within the boundaries of your state, you must follow the intrastate flow chart. When driving across state lines, you must follow the interstate flow chart. Be sure you review the notes at the bottom of the flow chart so you understand the length, width, and height requirements for your state. If your project requires you to cross the state line for any reason, you would then follow the interstate flow chart and, at the very least, would need a DOT medical card. We have developed flow charts for Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana. This flow chart is for North Dakota. There are slight differences between states' intrastate rules. The federal interstate rules are the same across the nation. These flow charts look similar, but there are slight differences between the states we operate. Please review the chart so you fully understand the requirements prior to operating. Contact your supervisor or the Tool and Equipment Center with questions. In summary, understanding the type of regulations you fall within when operating a fleet vehicle can be challenging. It's important to review the flow charts, log, and inspection book prior to beginning your journey. Use the flow charts provided by CorVal Group to stay compliant with DOT regulations. 8.5 by 11-inch flow charts are located in your vehicle. If the flow chart is missing, contact the Tool and Equipment Center. If you have questions, contact your supervisor prior to your departure. Thank you for participating in the CorVal Group DOT and Motor Fleet Program Just-in-Time Training Module. Contact your regional safety manager with questions, comments, or concerns.